if this inflationary holocaust, as many are predicting, occurs as a result of the economic depression, the third depression, as New York Times' Paul Krugman characterizes it. So I mentioned at the start of the show that we have these three major issues intersecting and pointing to the same ominous conclusion. We have the economic meltdown, with it now pretty clear that we're entering this double depression, and even a third, as Krugman says, something similar to the long depression of the 19th century. We have tensions building with Iran. We have the political dynasty of Barry Soetoro crashing and burning. So after the break, we'll talk about how these three issues intersect and lead to the same ominous conclusion. This is the Alex Jones Show. I'm Paul Joseph Watson. Stay tuned. We'll go to your calls shortly. Now, we were talking about the declining economic picture and how it intersects with the build-up of tensions with Iran, which are now reaching a crescendo, as well as the failure of the political dynasty of Barry Soetoro, as his approval numbers slipped to new lows almost on a weekly basis. And of course, we had the public meltdown of Robert Gibbs, the White House spokesman, telling the Hill newspaper that left-wing critics of Obama are, quote, crazy and ought to be drug tested, because they criticized Obama for not fulfilling the very promises he made during the election campaign, specifically with regard to pulling out of Iraq and Afghanistan. The wars under Obama are expanding, more US troops deployed under Obama than ever were under Bush. And now even people on the left who voted for Obama are screaming bloody murder. And finally, Gibbs cracked and said that they were crazy and ought to be drug tested. And so this goes to show that the corporate marketing tool of brand Obama, which hoodwinked millions of Americans in voting for him in 2008, is officially dead and buried. Now, what is brand Obama? It's the artificially manufactured marketing strategy that made millions of people vote for a man who represents the precise opposite of what he's billed as and what people voted for him on the issues that he promised them during the election campaign. And nowhere is this better explained than in a clip by John Pilger, who, remember, is a leftist himself. And what Pilger talked about, and this occurred shortly after Obama's inauguration, was basically similar to what Alex Jones told you in the Obama deception. And now we'll listen to John Pilger's description of, quote, brand Obama, and the fact that the public are finally realizing that this is what Obama represents, is a major turning point in the death of the political career of Barack Obama. So we'll play out into the break with this clip from John Pilger.
The clever young man who recently made it to the White House is a very fine hypnotist, partly because it is indeed extraordinary to see an African American at the pinnacle of power in the land of slavery. However, this is the 21st century, and race, together with gender and even class, can be very seductive tools of propaganda. For what is so often overlooked and what matters, I believe, above all, is the class one serves. George Bush's inner circle, from the State Department to the Supreme Court, was perhaps the most multiracial in presidential history. It was PC par excellence. Think Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell. It was also the most reactionary. Obama's very presence in the White House appears to reaffirm the moral nation. He's a marketing dream. But like Calvin Klein or Benetton, he is a brand that promises something special, something exciting, almost risque, as if he might be radical, as if he might enact change. He makes people feel good. He's a postmodern man with no political baggage, and all that's fake. In his book, Dreams from My Father, Obama refers to the job he took after he graduated from Columbia in 1983. He describes his employer as, and I quote, a consulting house to multinational corporations, unquote.
So that's John Pilger talking about brand Obama and how this corporate marketing strategy was what sold the American people to vote for him in the 2008 election. But the problem now for the Obama administration and the globalists as a whole is the fact that with his approval ratings going through the floor, even leftists now in the aftermath of Robert Gibbs' outburst are coming to the understanding that they've been completely hoodwinked into voting for somebody who supposedly represented change, but who in fact has proven to be the ultimate servant of the elite. And this is going to cost the Democrats big in 2012. And after the break, we'll talk about how they may try to pull off a desperate last gasp lunge to keep Obama in power and keep their stranglehold over power. And then we'll go to your calls. Stay tuned. This is the Alex Jones Show. People watching live on prisonplanet.tv with the live video stream, we encourage you to sign up and subscribe today. Now, we're talking about these three issues that are intersecting at the moment with the double dip recession/depression, the build-up of tensions with Iran, and the crash and burn of the political dynasty of Barack H. Obama. Now, the big question is, as these three issues accelerate towards each other with the same consequence, the question that will be answered over the next 3 months is this: will the New World Order merely hand the baton onto a neocon in 2012 in the hope that the American people fall for the same left-right scam yet again? Or, in light of the success of anti-incumbent political candidates, will they make a last-gasp, desperate lunge to restore the political credibility of Barack Hussein Obama, and how will that manifest itself? Now, if you listen to people like Robert Shapiro, who wrote an article for the Financial Times a couple of months ago, he says that the only way to reinstore faith in Obama as a leader is a terror attack on the scale of Oklahoma City or 9/11. So they've got that option to exploit if they choose to go down that route. But with the worsening economic picture as it is, and bearing in mind that the Great Depression of 1929 was only really neutralized with America's entry into the Second World War in 1941, added to the build-up of tensions with Iran, will Barack Obama and the globalists who control him turn to the ultimate weapon of control, which is war? Will the United States support an Israeli attack on Iran as a means of bolstering the economy and providing the perfect opportunity for the globalists to rebuild the world in their image from the ashes of what could potentially become World War III? These three issues are coming to a head right now, and I'm sure before the end of the year we will have a relatively clear and distinct answer to that question. Will the Democrats pull a political stunt or engineer a crisis to stay in power, or will they merely hand the baton on back to the Republican side of the two-party monopoly? That question remains to be answered. And will Obama seek to restore his political credibility by launching a war or supporting a war on Iran as a means of rallying the American people around his White House? Those questions are going to be vital in the coming months, and we'll see how it pans out. I think we'll get the answer before the end of the year. So I want to know what you've got to say about this, and we're going to go to your calls. And the first caller is Ernie in California. Ernie, you're on the air. What's on your mind today?
Hey, not much, Guy. I have a couple of things, just real quick. Yeah, they're either going to pull the false flag and let the volcano oil well explode, and then they'll pull their game. Some way they're going to try to pull off these elections. Now, the second thing is, I just accidentally got put in jail for a couple of days, for about 16 days. I want to let you know something. The biggest corporation, the biggest scam in this United States is our prison and judicial system. It is amazingly unreal. Okay, what I see and what I've learned is the first prisoners, and there's a domestic, if there's any kind of like martial law, they're immediately, the criminal, the real bad prisoners are immediately to be shot. The rest will be used as slaves. I see Obama, basically, they're going to pull whatever they can pull to keep his little Barry Soetoro butt in there. And it doesn't matter who else they put in, because they all belong to the Trilateral Commission Council on Foreign Relations, and we're never going to see a Ron Paul get elected.
Well, the positive thing we have to hold on to, though, is the fact that all these anti-incumbent candidates are having big successes over establishment candidates. For example, Sharon Angle in, I think it's Nevada, she's got a very good chance of kicking out Harry Reid. And Sharon Angle's this big conservative. Obviously, she's affiliated with the Tea Party. But on the issue, she's good because she supports ending fluoridation of the water supply. So there are lots of these candidates, Rand Paul's another one of them, that in many areas represent the true populist sentiment of America. So even though some of them are controlled by the Republican arm of the Tea Party, I think that's a very positive development, and it shows us why the establishment is getting so desperate in trying to demonize these Tea Party candidates, because they do really threaten the status quo. And that's a big success that we've had in recent months. Thanks for your call. Now we're going to go to Julio in Illinois. Julio, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Paul, it's great to talk with someone who is informed as you from across the pond. I have a feeling, you know how the Illuminists and those in the New World Order, they like to go by the number card, like the number system, like 7-7 down in the UK, or 9/11, or 8/888. It's 2010 in October. That's the 10th month of the year. For some reason, I think 10-10-10, they may possibly pull something out with trying to save Barry Soetoro in terms of a false flag. But my question to you is about the CIA Mockingbird media. I'm sure you're well informed on, you know, the Operation Mockingbird, how it got started with Prescott Bush during World War II. How is the Mockingbird media over across the pond with you in terms of, you know, the BBC and Sky News compared to our Mockingbirds here in the States with Murdoch's Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC?
Well, the situation with the UK media and how it's controlled by the government is basically you had a situation after the murder of Dr. David Kelly and after 2003 invasion of Iraq, where the BBC was completely overtaken by the Labour government. And in fact, you had a story where Labour Party officials were actually hacked into the computer systems of the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, which is the main media outlet in Britain. So it's completely controlled by the government in that sense. Then on the flip side of the equation, the supposed, you know, alternative to BBC, you have Sky News, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox News and the Wall Street Journal and so on. So whatever side you go to, whether it be the supposed liberal BBC or the conservative Sky News, it's the same as CNN and Fox News in America. They're both owned by globalist interests. Which is why the internet's become so much more important in recent years, and why they're trying to control it and stifle free speech, because it's becoming the true outlet, the last outpost of free speech for the individual to use. And that's why Lieberman is trying to move America towards this Chinese system of internet policing and regulation under his cybersecurity bill, which we're trying to vigorously oppose at the moment. So thanks for your call. We're going to go to Jeff in Virginia. Jeff, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah, what's in your mind today, Jeff?
Hi, yeah, just a couple of points I'd like to make, and then a couple of questions that I had. As far as terrorist attacks or something of that nature, I don't think we'll see anything like that probably until next year.